I know that most of you sitting here are from the finance function, and finance function is definitely going to go through a lot of transition in the near future. And you may have a different roles, or what would be the roles or the names of those roles, we don't know. But what we could understand at this moment in a macro level, that there are certain type of jobs would remain there or would be in demand and certain would not. So transactional jobs, accounting, closing, record keeping, those jobs are not expected to survive long. But at the CFO level or even the senior finance leadership team level, including finance business partnering, is a growing area. And they have completely different requirement than the traditional finance roles. So we need to really focus that, look, if you are ambitious enough to really find your place in the future in finance and accounting, then focus on the area that which are looks like will be in demand in the future. And those are the finance business partnering, senior finance leadership team, and some of the technical areas where expertise like treasury, like merger and acquisitions, these roles will remain there for a while. And this is from the World Economic Forum report, which shows the type of the skills which are declining and type of the skills which are growing. Now, you could see clearly a trend over there. And trend is that the more transactional type jobs or the repetitive types of skills would not be in demand, but what would be in demand more like human skills, analytical. So look at this list of the growing: analytical, creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, leadership, emotional intelligence, etc. Now, this is also a trap for many people, because many people would look at this and say that I know all these things, I can handle that, I'm the type of the person who could do all those things. That's a trap. Be careful. This is a very broad list of the skills, which means that there would be different type of roles which would be requiring the application of these skills. But in order to develop these skills, where at what level they are required, you need to do a lot of work, and that's I want to cover today. That don't be trapped by this simple list of the skills and feeling that I already have it. You need to really develop that to a mastery level. Many of you or all of you, I believe, are qualified professional accountants. Either you are CPA or a CMA or a chartered accountant or cost and management accountant. And once upon a time, these qualifications were considered good enough to take you through your entire career. If you are a chartered accountant 20 years ago, probably at that time it was expected that you will become a CFO someday. Today, these qualifications have been significantly diluted. Now, I don't mean that they are useless. They are definitely very relevant, because for any senior level finance or accounting job, you have to have one of these professional qualifications. Otherwise, you may not be considered a professional accountant. But these are equal to entry ticket only, which means that if you apply for a finance director or a senior financial controller or CFO level, and you have one of the qualification, they will consider that yes, you are eligible for the job. And if you don't have any of these, then probably they would not consider you even for those roles. Now, there are very few exceptions, but generally it is true that you have to have at least one of these qualifications. And many people ask me that I'm already a chartered accountant or CPA, should I do another ACCA or CMA? And I said, look, if you are already close to your mid career, then one is good enough. Because what you need to do, you need to learn leadership and strategy and business more than the basic qualification like this. Now, these credentials definitely have a lot of value when you start your career. In the first 10-15 years, definitely there is a lot of application. But all these accounting bodies are basically producing accountants, which are required now. But the problem is that most of you who are somewhere in the middle of your career, like you have already spent 10, 12, 15 years, and now you are trying to drive your career to the to further development, and these things are not working, and that is why you are struggling. What to do? You are willing to learn, you are willing to develop, you are willing to do hard work, but there is no clear cut framework available which will take you to the top, right? So that's what we are going to talk today. So yes, they are important, but not as much as they used to be in the past. So what we need to do then, this is a slide from the Association of Executive Recruiters, and they basically explain the criteria that in order to develop the profile of a CFO, what you need to look into. And according to them, the role they expect from a CFO is a key business partner to CEO. And what they expect to work with the CEO and not only CEO, but with the board of directors on a strategy. So imagine that if you are a CFO and you are supposed to work with the board and CEO on a strategy, how much you need to learn about a strategy, right? And not everybody has a formal training or education in it. And then your leadership skills, your strong interpersonal skills, because we work with people, right? We are not a scientists working alone in a laboratory. The type of the role we do is basically interactive. So we need to really learn how to deal with other people. And then not only IFRS knowledge, but also the knowledge of market trends, threats, and opportunities, because that is where the business really struggles. So you need to become a business or a strategic partner to CEO. You need to have a good expertise. Otherwise, they would not really consult with you. Then support to develop new business opportunities. So advanced skills, advanced technical skills, I would say. So raising capital, that's a very high in demand skill if you have experience raising capital. Similarly, mergers and acquisition and a couple of other areas which are also considered high in demand. And finally, compliance and risk management. So regulatory requirement or enterprise risk management. So risk management is becoming a very, very focal area for finance and accounting people. And controlling cost, of course. And as I said, this guideline has been issued by an organization called Blue Steps, which is basically Association of Executive Search Consultants, the global firm. So this tells you something, that in order to make further progress, what you need to develop, what you need to learn going forward. I have created another framework for your advanced career strategy. So as I said, just keep in mind that when I talk about these things, I'm talking about senior roles. So I'm assuming that you are at the level of mid-career with 10, 15, maybe 20 years experience, and you have the ambition to go further at the C level. I call this an advanced career strategy, and it's basically comes with a holistic approach. It's not about just learning one area or developing one another, but it's a holistic approach, mainly based on the work-life integration approach. So it starts with your inner game or your mindset. That's the most important thing, because whether you agree or not, I believe that 90% what happens to us is because of our mindset. So 10% is because of the external situation we don't control, but 90% things happen to us are because of our inner game or mindset, right or wrong. So we start with the creating a mindset first, because if you don't have the right mindset, you would not be able to execute correctly. And then it leads to the work-life integration and peak performance. So we need to really resolve these things. I mean, people all the time talk about work-life balance. Nobody is ever able to resolve it, except maybe for a very few exceptions. And we always struggle with that. So we need to, in order to focus on our leadership development, we need to first resolve these things. And of course, these have bigger priority. Mindset inner game is about you, your personal leadership. Similarly, work-life integration, peak performance also involve your close family, friends, your loved ones. So we need to really create a clarity. How are we going to work in that? And then we prepare ourselves to deal with the world. So as a CFO or as a senior professional, you have to deal with world every day, right? Two very powerful approaches in this framework is developing a personal brand and developing an capability of developing relationship and networking. And I think you will agree with this, that these two things really play a significant vital role in our career success. And then this leads to our core expertise. So our core expertise could be our finance knowledge or accounting knowledge or business knowledge. But then whatever knowledge you have, you wrap it with the strategy knowledge, because strategy is basically advanced business knowledge. It applicable to everyone. Whatever core function you have to have some overall business and strategy knowledge that basically enhances your core expertise. So now look at this framework. You have three things. Of course, your core competency, elaborated by your strategic approach and strategic business knowledge, and your ability to develop good relationships and network with other people, and your ability to develop a very powerful personal brand. So people look you from that personal brand point of view. And then with all these weapons and all these mindset and all these approaches, you basically create an influence. So influence is your result, because influence is fundamental. If you don't have an influence, no matter what you do, you won't be successful in life. So to complete this framework, what you do at the bottom in terms of managing or developing your mindset or inner game and your work-life integration and developing a peak performance, that's about your personal leadership, right? So first you need to work developing a personal leadership, which prepares you to deal with the world. And how you deal with the world? By your ability to relate, relationship, creating good relationship, networking, personal branding, and your core expertise enhanced by the strategic business knowledge. That's your public leadership, right? And core expertise with these strategies, your strategic leadership, and your influence is basically your result. Very simple, right? So whatever success you are looking for, that comes from influence. If you don't have an influence, now I know a lot of CFOs, and some of them complain me that, look, I have very good knowledge, I understand my business model very well, and I know the solution, what to do to fix those problems, but unfortunately my CEO does not listen to me. And I said, that looks like there is a bigger problem, that I trust you, that you have the solution, you have the capability and capacity and competency, but you don't have an influence on your CEO or a level of trust with your CEO. That's fundamental. If there is no influence, there is no trust, there is no communication. So that is how important it is. This is the framework I have been using for several years now in our work with the Maka CEO Academy. And you could see here that I'm sure many of you are very familiar. There are no FIRS or any accounting competency. It's all about leadership, because we are assuming that being in the mid-career, you already have the accounting qualification, but you also have enough knowledge about the accounting and finance. So what we are talking about with this framework is personal leadership, which is basically work-life integration, peak performance, mindset, emotional intelligence, personal branding, and then the public leadership, which is interacting with the world. So presentation skills, your leadership, leading people, relationship management, service orientation, and then on top of these two, your strategic leadership, which means advanced understanding of the business, understanding the business models, the value creation, very fundamental concept. Performance management, there is no financial management, it's all about performance management for businesses. And very important, very critical, developing the ability to think strategically. So it's a very comprehensive framework, and some of you might feel overwhelmed, but look, we are basically passing through a very critical times where the world is changing basically, right? And we need to prepare with these demands of these things. And I'm trying to give you a framework which is step by step. So everything will make sense to you in a very logical manner, that why do we need to do it and how do we need to do it, so you could really achieve your ambitions of your career. So most finance and accounting professionals stay here. So this is called finance leadership, right? It was very successful for a very long period of time. You need to learn accounting, finance, and somewhat governance and compliance, and then you become a good finance leader, right? Now, today's requirement, as I said, very different. So you need to meet the demand, the meet the expectation of the stakeholders. What we need to do, we need to first work on our personal leadership, creating a capacity, creating a mindset, creating the ability to produce, but also be successful. So it requires your personal branding, your ability to work hard, emotional intelligence, personal leadership, right? On this, you build up your public leadership, which is including your communication, your relationship, your interaction, leading people, your leadership, your service orientation, how do you serve other people? And then on top of this, you build your strategic leadership, right? So it's performance management, strategic thinking, and value creation, the most important thing. So in one word, if I have to explain what is the role or what is the fundamental duty of finance people, is helping business create value creation. So this is the framework you need to keep in mind going forward. So very briefly about few important items you need to just understand. I know many of you already know, but emotional intelligence, for example, many people struggle that why do we need to really go into it? Look, there are two parts of life. First part or first half, we mostly spend in learning, college, school, universities, right? It's purely predominantly a learning environment, and we do very well with our IQ in that first half. So you really need good IQ to be successful in the first half of your life. But second half of your life is about work, is about career. Here we have to work with people. We cannot sit alone and do our work, except for some exceptions. Most of the time we are working with the people here. IQ is not relevant as much as EQ is relevant. So EQ stands for emotional intelligence. You pass through your education through IQ, but you develop a successful career only through EQ, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, if you could look at this picture, you see that our behavior, our performance is all deeply rooted in our values, in our mind. That's why mindset is so important, because many times we look the behavior of other people on the surface, or even our own behavior we try to change on the surface. It doesn't work. You need to look, what are your mindset, what are your beliefs, what are your emotions, and then in a systematic logical manner you try to change your behavior and other people. That's all about emotional intelligence. Is very, very important. Then left brain, right brain, it's a very basic idea, but most of our failures or challenges in our life are because of not maintaining a good balance between our left brain and right brain. So this is basically part of creating self-awareness. We are talking about a very deep personality. We are talking about becoming the top 10% talent, right? That's not achievable simply by reading one book or attending one day training or talking to someone. It needs a very comprehensive approach to change yourself. So you really need to go deep into your mind and re-engineer it in a manner that it would create the best performance, best results. So left brain, right brain is your ability to behave properly in the outside world. And very quickly you develop that understanding and orientation, how to use your left brain and right brain to create success for you and for your business and people around you. Presentation skills. So if you ask me what has been the one thing which really helped me most in succeeding in my career, it was my ability to make presentations from the very beginning in my career. Because to me, this is the weapon of mass influence. I mean, you can talk to one senior person in your work environment and impress that person. But if you talk to 50 people, 100 people sitting together, and you do a good presentation, you influence them massively. That's why they are weapon of mass influence. So I always have the opportunity to talk to groups. Every new organization I would go with a new job, I would try to set up my first presentation as early as possible, because I know in one go I will impress and influence a lot of people. So this is a fundamental ability you need to develop. If you really want to be part of the top 10%, this is must. And it's doable. At one point of time, I was very hesitant. I was very nervous really making presentation. In my MBA program, long time ago, the first semester, the course was business communication. I was supposed to make a 5-minute presentation in front of my class. And I was so scared that I was almost seriously considering to withdraw from the program, because I thought I'm not that person. So you could always change that. Relationship is the vehicle on which you ride your career journey. Look, fortunately, again, another example from my own personal career, I got international relocations in my career. And I would consider that, especially from a country like Pakistan, if you get an international posting, it's a lifetime opportunity. So I got that very early. And I was relocated to Asia Pacific regional office in Singapore and Hong Kong. But look, 4 years after, 4.5 years after, when my expat contract was completed, I had another opportunity to go back to Pakistan or do something else. Then I got again relocated from Singapore to New Jersey in USA. That is how I came in USA. Now, was I the most talented person in the company? Not really. There were a lot of other people who were also equally talented or qualified for that type of opportunities. But look, I had relationship. I had very strong networking in the company, not only in the local environment, local companies, but also in the headquarters in the company. And that really helped me. That was the main reason. So yes, you have to be qualified. You have to have the potential and talent, but at the same time, you also need relationship and networking and other support to really make success. So that is why relationship is very, very critical as well. And then strategy. Businesses are become so competitive that every business is doing some sort of strategy. Now, unfortunately, again, for finance and accounting professionals, strategy is still not considered an essential subject to be covered. is considered a luxury that, look, you could learn on your own, and maybe some of the accounting qualifications have started to introduce a strategy. But we are talking of being involved in the real strategy of a business, becoming a strategic partner. You really need to have some serious learning and understanding. Now, we are not talking about going to another executive MBA, but it's very essential, especially for the senior level. If you are in the second half of your career, above the mid level, strategy is critical and essential. Now, do you understand the value creation model of your business? It's very easy. This is the simplest flow chart showing a value creation. Value is created by employees. Employees are empowered by technology, system, leadership, and culture, and they create customer value, and customer value creates shareholder value. This is the very brief, basic, fundamental value creation flow. Now, if you could understand that, you could look at any business model and expand it in a logical and systematic manner. And when you talk about it, that talk becomes very strategic. So we are talking about creating an ability to do the conversation. How do you do that? A conversation is not about your neighbor or about your friend or some political rumors in the organization. We are talking about business oriented, highly professional conversation. So in order to deliver that conversation, you need to really learn something. You need to have that idea in your mind to talk about it. 5 approaches to differentiate yourself. Just pay attention here because I'm talking about tactics now. We talked about visibility. That visibility is really key because recruiters are looking for best candidate, top talent. And if you're not visible, you are not counted. Even if you're talented, you have to be first visible, right? How do you create visibility? Very easy nowadays. So you need to create a strong online presence. Again, if you compare the older times, you need to develop a big network of people, influential people to know you in order to get an opportunity. Today, you can do that sitting at home. If you don't know where you are on this, just Google yourself. Just put your name. If your name is pretty unique, like my name, Salim Sufi, there are not many Salim Sufis, your actual results will come. But if your name is very common, like John or Adam or another very common name, then just put some specific tags along with it. But see what comes up. Because when people search, and if your name is not coming up, you are not visible. So that would tell you where you stand. And then based on that, try to create visibility. LinkedIn is crucial. LinkedIn is very, very important to create visibility because I would say 80% of the recruitment and search work is being done on LinkedIn. But also create presence on Facebook. So you don't have to spend a lot of time on Facebook, but keep assured if someone is really looking at your profile to make an offer, not only LinkedIn, they would also search you on Facebook. They will also search you on Twitter, and they will probably also try to look something on the YouTube. So as I said, don't get overwhelmed that you need to do a lot of work. It's 80-20. 80% focus on LinkedIn, 20% on other main platforms. So create a simple profile. Of course, it doesn't have to be the same profile. It's a different culture, different environment, different platforms. So Facebook, you could put your picture on an outside with your family or with your dog. That's okay. But on LinkedIn, you have to have your headshot in a very professional manner, right? YouTube, you don't have to really create documentaries or movies, but look, everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has a smartphone with a camera. If you are attending a conference, if you are making a small presentation, just record yourself and upload on YouTube in your profile. That's good enough. You don't have to have a professional videographer to capture you. So that is how you create visibility. Again, keep in mind that it has to be matched with your personal brand. Now, networking. I call it structured networking because if you don't do structured networking, there is high probability that you would get lost. You would spend a lot of time and resources and you would not get anything out of it. So you need to be very structured. What are some guidelines? Look at your professional body. So if you are a qualified accountant, then of course you have the accounting bodies and few organizations around that. That's one area to network, number one. Now, this is a neglected area, industry associations. Many of us means the finance and accounting people, we do a lot of networking with accountants and finance people, but we don't look at the industry much, or we think that this is not our place. So, for example, if you are working in hospitality, I'm sure there are some associations, some organization around hospitality. And if you go to those places and you, for example, are a controller in Sheridan, and there is another controller coming from Marriott, of course, you have a lot of interest in each other, right? That is how you create network. And especially you can talk a lot of common things, common interest. So whatever industry you are, think, see, explore what are the opportunities to expand your network across the industry lines. Then of course recruiters, but also try to find recruiters specializing in your industry or in your function. Senior executives, of course. Now, senior executives, many people become a little bit nervous and hesitant that, look, I'm junior level and how could I really approach those CFOs and CEOs? Well, in a corporate environment, you are right. There are protocols, there are distances, but look, other areas where you could network with senior executives in a neutral environment. Look in your neighborhood. Maybe there are some senior executives around in the neighborhood. You could develop connections. You go to a social club, a Rotary Club, for example, or there are a lot of clubs. You may find some people over there. They would be willing to talk to you. Or you go to another gathering, or you go to another somewhere else where there are people. You need to be a little bit explorative. That who are the people, and in those places, it's easier to connect with those senior people. And of course, social clubs, as I said, that you have to have. So these are the common places you can find a lot of lucrative and very resourceful contacts. Create a personal brand. Avoid being a generalist. Now, again, many people also struggle that, okay, what should I do to create a personal brand? Here is my guideline. Don't become a journalist, which means that you need to develop one or two specialties which will make you distinguish from all others. An example is that earlier in my career, there was a project I was involved rolling out in 6 regional plants. So I developed so much expertise that I become a champion of ABC. That became my brand. Later on, I got my interest shifted to balance scorecard. And from balance scorecard, my interest shifted to strategy overall. So during these times, all these three things were my brand, personal brand. I was considered as a guru, balance scorecard guru or a strategy guru. Now, you cannot develop expertise, that level expertise in every area. But if you just focus, look what you are passionate about, and look at one or two expertise and develop better than the average. So you could distinguish yourself, and that becomes your brand. And that's good enough. That's good enough to really differentiate yourself, distinguish yourself from all other people. But don't try to be a general controller or a general CFO having good knowledge and everything. As I said, it's not big, just one or two specialties. And then ensure that you are known for that specialty, you are known for that talent, and you will have a good brand. Also try to develop your thought leadership, that people come to you for guidance, people come to you for opinion, people look at you for solutions or to discuss those areas. And this is what the fundamental reason we are here, that we want to be among the top 10%. It could be a long journey, but the first thing is having a desire, having a mindset, having an ambition. That is, all journeys start from there. Many times when I suggest or advise people that, look, you need to highlight your achievement, even on the resume or on your LinkedIn profile or in interview, try to highlight achievement. And they say, I don't have an achievement. So I actually laugh because I said, how long have you been working in this company? I said, 10 years. How is it possible that you survive in a corporate environment for 10 years and don't have any achievement? Maybe you did not notice it. So you really need to look back. Whatever roles you have spent your time, look into those areas and find out your achievement. If you struggle that I really don't have any achievement, you are doing the type of the job which is not really can list anything, then look at the future, what you could do. Mindset you need to develop to create achievement is, first of all, creating massive value for the business beyond the call of duty. Now, some people may disagree with that. That's an issue of mindset. If you really have an ambition to become top 10% talent, you have to have a different mindset. I wrote a blog a few weeks ago where I suggested people to come to work 15 minutes early and leave 30 minutes late. Some people very aggressively objected to it. And some people were very annoyed. How dare could I say that? Look, this is a sacrifice. This is a mindset. Work is not a punishment. When you develop a mindset of creating massive value for the business, it's not only for business. You are developing your own learning. You are becoming an expert. You are increasing your market value. That's a mindset you need to develop. And highlight those results and achievement, not your qualification and responsibilities. If you have done chartered accountancy 20 years ago, but you don't have much achievement, and compared to that, another non-qualified person with 5 years experience, but that person could list a lot of achievement, that person has more worth and value in the market than your 20 years experience with CA. And part of your developing the conversation capability is to identify short stories of your success and achievement, short stories, not more than 1 minute, and rehearse them actually. Craft them, write them beautifully, then rehearse them. And whenever you have a chance during your interview or during your formal or informal conversation, repeat those conversations, because that really makes and creates your brand. And that is how people know you. Also, post them on LinkedIn as much as you can. And one another idea to really get those achievements is to try to get on the non-routine projects. A non-routine project example is that, for example, if you're a controller and your main responsibility is to complete the reporting and closing the books on time, that's your routine work. You're supposed to do it. If you haven't doing it for 5 years without a single delay, that was your job. But if you get involved in a project where you are going to improve the closing timeline, you're trying to improve the closing from 5 days to 3 days, that's a non-routine work. That counts. That becomes your achievement. So try to create a balance between your routine and non-routine work. Business acumen, back to the strategy and advanced business knowledge. Do something, read a book or an article or attend a course, but you need to develop some formal understanding of the business, advanced level of understanding. And value creation cycle, there are many of my posts and short videos explaining this. Go and watch them and you will develop that. Part of your strategic or critical thinking is to relate financial numbers with the business performance. So if you are a controller, you are making a presentation on the results. Normally, 80% people will just repeat what they are showing on the screen or slides. You need to develop, first of all, business strategy knowledge. Then you need to understand what's happening, what's going on with your business, and then try to relate those things with the financial numbers you are showing. That becomes your strategic thinking. And try to make a habit that when in a strategic situations, even in tactical situations, try not to show off your accounting and finance knowledge. Try to show off your business and strategy knowledge, and that would suddenly significantly change your brand. So these are the 5 approaches you need to focus upon. Now, few tips about the networking through LinkedIn. As I said, the LinkedIn is a very, very important topic. So let me give you some very useful tips over there. And some of you are already doing, some of you, but I see most people really not paying still attention to LinkedIn. Don't get overwhelmed. When we talk about social media, it's not that you have to really go each and every platform and do a lot of work. As I said, your approach should be 80-20. 80% LinkedIn, 20% couple of, not every platform, Facebook, Twitter, maybe YouTube. That's it. So LinkedIn is really should be your focus. And what we need to understand that when we talk about networking and relationship building, we are basically talking about focusing on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is very powerful. LinkedIn was create a lot of resources and opportunities for you in terms of developing network and relationship. And when it comes to the personal branding and networking also, focus on your industry and become an industry expert. If you have already spent 10 years in an industry, then my suggestion is that try to develop an expertise around that industry more than your competitors. If you are in, again, hospitality, try to develop more understanding of hospitality industry more than the average controller in hospitality. That would really help you a lot to signify your personal brand. Or if you are in manufacturing, at one point of time, I was considered an expert in manufacturing. I was not a manufacturing professional, But as a CFO, I was very much involved. Starting with the activity-based costing project, I got involved in the manufacturing shop floor level details, and I become a manufacturing CFO. Mid-career, that was my brand. Any company, manufacturing company looking for CFO, they will prefer me because I have a manufacturing background. So that's a very important area to focus upon, that what is your industry expertise, and try to combine with your functional expertise and business knowledge, and that becomes a very powerful brand for you. So first of all, where the senior level jobs are, because many of you are thinking that, look, all those things sound good, but I'm looking for a job. So where are the jobs? Okay, so here is the answer. First of all, we are talking about senior level. Start with your industry again. If you are in oil and gas, or if you are in hospitality, if you are in service industry or manufacturing, start with that industry because you have most applicability or interest or influence or attraction in that industry. Private equity, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this business model, but these are the investment firms or investors who all the time buying and selling businesses, buying and selling. So there are different level of companies. There are some very small private equity firms. There are some very large private equity firms, right? But their main business is acquiring businesses and selling businesses in a very short period of time, 3 to 5 years basically. And the one interesting thing they do all the time, whenever they acquire a business, usually these are sick businesses or the businesses who are not performing well. They acquire at a very cheap price and they convert them into profitable business and they sell them at much higher multiple. So one thing they do without fail is to replace the management team, because in their understanding, if the business is not doing well, who could you blame or hold responsible? Is of course the management team or leadership team. So they fire them and bring back the new team, which means there are always opportunities at the C level. They are looking for the new CEO without doubt. They are looking for CFO. Maybe they are looking for CMOs, or they are looking for some director level, but there are always a lot of opportunities. And they are in this business. They are all the time hiring, firing, because they keep buying new businesses and then keep selling businesses. So private equity firms are very attractive target to find out C-level opportunities. Then the fast growing companies, Amazon is hiring thousands and thousands of people. When they are hiring at that scale, the criteria become a little bit diluted. It becomes easier to get in. Focus on those fast growing companies. Large companies. So my definition of large company, any company above the size of 500 million, I would say it's a large company. And large companies always will have some openings available, always, without fail. So they are not advertised, but if you explore a little bit, you will find there are some positions always available. Startups, these may be small firms, but they're always looking for experienced people, experienced professional in different categories. Competitors. So if you are working for Sheridan, maybe Marriott is looking for someone with a lot of industry knowledge. And some companies even hire people simply because of the competitive knowledge and information. Then if you come from the competitor, you will bring a lot of information. And newly acquired or merged companies. So a lot of merger and acquisition. Whenever there is a company acquires another company, of course, there is a lot of layoff, but that normally happens at the low level. Whenever a company acquires another company or they are merged together, they are always looking for some key positions to be replaced or refill. So these are easy targets if you start focusing on these. And keep another thing in mind. In today's competitive environment, all businesses are really pushed very hard to deliver the results. And to deliver the results, they look at their top level professionals. And there are always few cases where people are not performing well. They are there for 20 years and somehow they are not able to develop that level of competitiveness to deliver the performance. And based on that, companies are always looking to replace them. So these are always very, very confidential positions. But my guess is that 30-35% positions in the market at C-level are of this type. So that's another, you need to be smart enough to identify these type of positions as well. So LinkedIn is a gold mine. Is gold mine to expand your professional and business network. It's gold mine to attract recruiters and job leads. And by the way, since LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft, their focus has changed. Now they are making most money from the job or recruiting business. 80% of their revenue or income is coming from jobs posting and job placements. So that has become a very fertile area to find leads and opportunities. And it's also a very nice place to show off your brand, show your achievement and accomplishment. Now, usually there is no platform. Many of you might be hesitant or not comfortable to talk themselves about their own accomplishment and achievement, or even in written form to send anyone else. But look, LinkedIn is a place where you could decorate your profile with your achievement and accomplishments, and that looks very professional. So put whatever you are proud of you have done before on your LinkedIn profile, and then send an invitation to connect with your boss. Definitely would look into your accomplishment and achievements, and not only him, but a lot of other people as well. And it's also a good place to establish your thought leadership and expertise. Start writing blogs, making some posts. And if you are in a business level, business opportunities, a lot of business people are B2B opportunities are also coming there. And if you need recruitment, of course, that becomes the main prime recruitment place or platform around the world. Okay, but there are a few challenges with the LinkedIn. First of all, it's become very crowded. So there are now 560 million people. So when we talk about really create visibility, it's a challenging task to make yourself visible among 560 million people. And then they keep changing their rules or algorithm, and they don't make much announcement. So one day you open your profile and you see things are arranged differently. And also you only have access to your data, but they could really hide data or change your positioning. You don't have much control on your information. Just accept that this is the part of the game, that we don't have much control on the information. And there is no privacy, because some people have some high level concerns. Oh, this is my private or personal information, I'm not comfortable. But in today's digital world, there is no privacy. Accept that. So mindsets, personal marketing is inevitable. Accept that, whether you are comfortable or not. Even if you don't think that I'm marketing professional, it's not about being marketing professional, it's about your own personal marketing. Try to think like an entrepreneur. And there is no privacy. Accept that. And visibility. So of course, it's not a good thing that your privacy is not there, but that's a cost you're paying to create visibility to attract opportunities. It's a deal, it's a bargain. And I think it's a good bargain. And active networking is must for success. It's not just creating a profile and then forget about it. That doesn't work. You need to be really actively networking, and I'll explain to you in a second what does it mean by that. So building up your network. Now, I know that many of you have connections less than 500, less than 500 for first level connection. Many of you also have, most people will have between 500 and 1000, and some will have more than 1000. So if you are really under 500, you need to declare an emergency and reach as fast as you could to the 500 level. And those of you who are between 500 and 1000, start working seriously to build up to the 5000 level connections. You have to target 5000 first level connections to see some success on LinkedIn. How do you do it? So basic level, if you are less than 500, just look at your friends, your work colleagues, and your email contact. That should be easy. That should give you 500 by working for 1 hour or 2 hours. For advanced level, look at your customers. Customer means that the company you are working, who are the customer companies? Who are the supplying companies? And you may not know everyone, but look how could you get connections or industry competitors. Usually when you send even an unsolicited request for connection, if these are the connections, people could relate it, that you are not a complete stranger, and normally they will accept it, or your profession like accounting or finance or marketing. And then of course recruiter and search executive. Now there is also an interest from their side. They also want to develop a pool of good candidate. So usually if your profile matches with their focus, they will accept it. And of course LinkedIn group, there are millions of groups. So see what groups you could join and connect with other professionals in that group. And by the way, LinkedIn also, every time you open LinkedIn, it will make suggestion, the people you may know, the people you may know. And when you pick few of them, if you know them or even if you remotely know them, usually it goes very smoothly. So also don't neglect those suggestions from LinkedIn. You could also send invitations. So try to send connection requests with a personalized message. If it is someone you don't know or you don't know closely. And if accepted, then just send a thank you note. That would create a very strong bond in the beginning. Now, just be careful. You can send 20, 25 connection requests every day. Don't try to dump 100, 200, 300, or don't try to upload a list of the connections. LinkedIn initially allows you 3,000 invitations. So you could easily go there. Even after that, there is different rules based on your profile and your connections and your activity. But never upload a large contact list. It may result in first warning from LinkedIn, and then it might block your account. So just be careful. It's a gradual activity. It's not an overnight job to create 5,000 connections. My connections today are 25,000, but 25,000 have been developed over the last 15, 20 years since then LinkedIn was introduced. Okay, accepting, of course, you must be receiving some invitations. What is your criteria or what should be the logic? Keep a liberal approach. Even if you don't know that person, if looks the professional profile, then accept it. Generally accept only when it looks spammy or suspicious, like the person sending a request is both one connection or five connection. Don't accept that because this is a newly created profile and you don't know what is the purpose behind it. I usually don't accept if it is less than 500. And keeping your network, so this is part of the networking. Pay attention here that what you need to do. Actively monitor and review your LinkedIn page at least once in a day. My advice, allocate 30 minutes on a daily basis. Every day, you should spend 30 minutes on your LinkedIn profile. Or alternatively, try to spend 2 to 3 hours on a weekend. Either way, it's okay, but that is the amount of minimum time you need to invest in LinkedIn. And what will you do? Not only that, improving and enhancing your profile, but look at your connections, look at the activity coming in your feed. What is happening, what people are doing, right? And like their contents. You don't really have to like really, but if you think this is likable, just be liberal and make like. Now, what happens when you click a like? LinkedIn goes with that information and post it again a lot of places that you have liked that content. So in order to make yourself visible, you need to ensure that your profile name or somebody appears many places, right? That is how you do it. You like it and it is posted somewhere that you have liked these contents. And that's very easy, just one click, right? Then try to make comments. If you have some thoughts, you look at something and you have some thoughts, make some brief comments, some appreciated. Don't make negative comments, please, because very few people do it, but I'm so surprised why they do it because they expose their negative personalities to the world. So try to make some neutral, some valuable, or some appreciative, positive comments. Develop that habit actually. And also share other people posts. If you see some good information, you think your network people would like it, just share it. Very easy. And try to make your own contribution. If you have some thoughts, anything, especially related to your profession or the environment you work, just make few posts or even start writing formal blog posts. Now, all these small activities are part of your networking. And imagine when you do it on a daily basis, how much visibility is created for you, how much your network is started to know you, how fast you could expand yourself. And also with the contents, you try to create your personal brand. The comments you make, the post you share, the blog you write, that is also establishing your thought leadership. So what will happen, you will see that with this activity, as you increase, there are more and more people looking at your profile views. So LinkedIn also provide you this information that who has viewed your posts, how many searches you are appearing in. Now, this also depends upon the, I think there is more information available if it is a premium profile. But even with the ordinary profile, there is some information available. So how many searches you are appearing in, who has viewed your post, and who has viewed your profile. That tells you that how popular you are. More views means that you have more visibility, especially when some recruiters viewed your profile. That's a very positive news. So that activity I explained in the previous slide create these results for you. And establishing your expertise and thought leadership, advanced techniques. So first of all, target yourself 5,000 connections. That should be possible, I would say, in the next 12 months, easily, or even faster. Create valuable contents. Try to develop a habit. Like you, when you're sitting with your friends or professional friends, you express your opinion, your comments, develop that habit. They start writing briefly. You don't need to become a formal author. Whatever comes in your mind, just write it and post it. And try to publish regularly, so you create a brand of yourself. Write on the topics which you think are part of your expertise, and that is people who have started to see you. That is the very effective way of creating a very strong positive visibility of your profile. Join LinkedIn groups. You can be a member of 100 groups, and you can create your own 30 groups. That's also very powerful. And within the group, I think they allow you 15 free messages. So if these people are not your first level contact, either you could use InMail is a paid service, or you could use free 15 messages if you're in the same group. So this is very important to understand. I would say this is a strategic approach to develop connections or relationship, actually, because you may have 30,000 connections because they allow 30,000, but if they are all meaningless, it doesn't help. So even with a large 5,000 connections, you don't need to know 5,000 people, but at least there should be some good connections, compelling relationship. How do you do that? Just pay attention here. So how does it start? You try to develop a transparent personality. Make your life transparent as much as possible. Now it's depend upon your profile. Some people are very reserved. Some people are very open. Now the fastest way to really develop a trust is to become open. When you're in a conversation with not a friend but office colleague, and you share something about your family, and they were not expecting something, and they feel that, look, you trust them, right? If they feel that you trust them, they also try to share something because they started to trust you. So transparency leads to reciprocity, that when you share something personal or close, then leads to the openness from the other person as well. Reciprocity, when you continue to do that, results are developed into trust. The openness in the relationship creates mutual trust, right? Next level, mutual trust leads to mutual respect. You started to respect each other. And then mutual respect enhances likability. You started to like them. And with the likability, it leads to intimacy in the relationship. And the intimacy in the relationship creates a bond in the relationship, right? So see how logical is that process? Of course, it's not going to happen in one day, but the strategic connections you want to develop into good relationship, that's a path. That's the formula. Don't try to speed it up. Don't try to do it fast, because something wrong will happen. Step by step, in a logical manner, and try to be honest. Don't fake it. Those compelling bond in the relationship does not happen with a fake attitude. It has to be very genuine, very transparent, very loyal. Networking relationships. So search by industry and region. Again, you don't have to really go blindly searching all the CFOs around the globe wouldn't help you. What is your industry and what is your region? And within that industry and region, try to find out the one category is senior key executive. It could be CFO or finance director or senior HR director, decision makers. They are the people who really make decisions or involved into the hiring, firing decisions. That's one category. It's difficult, it's challenging. So other area which is easy is other professional at your same level. If you're controller, other controller. If you are director, other director. If you are finance manager, other finance manager, because it's very easy to connect with them. Even if you send a request for connection, they will probably immediately accept it. They may not be the decision makers, but they are the door openers. They will connect you with the decision makers. Now, keep also in mind that employee referrals are always much valuable in hiring decisions. So most businesses, most companies, if there is an employee referral for a candidate, they pay a lot of attention to that candidate compared to someone coming from outside. So try to fit into that role, that if someone at your level could recommend you or open the door for you. And then of course, executive recruiters. Now, executive recruiters, keep in mind that usually they work by industry sectors. So don't go blindly to any executive recruiter. Try to identify in your industry and try to create some link at the industry level, and hopefully they will be positively responding to you. When you try to connect with them, don't send a request blindly for the connection. Easier or professional way is to first start following them. That's very easy. That's a one step before you send a request. You don't need their permission. So if you think they are targeted connections, just follow them. And I'm sure they are going to notice it. Then start liking their contents. I'm sure they are going to notice it. And then make some positive comments on their content. I'm sure they are going to notice it. And then you will develop enough familiarity that they already know you. At that level, when you send an invitation, 90% or 95% they're expected to accept. I call this LinkedIn dating process. So I hope all of you young guys understand what the dating process is. It goes the same rules. You need to be patient. So follow them, like them, comment them, very easy to do it. And then at a certain point of time, you will feel that you are feeling comfortable, they are feeling comfortable to accept your invitation. And then start conversation. And again, don't ask for a job. In fact, in my opinion, you should never ask for a job. Never ask for a job, but ensure that they know that you are in the job market. You are looking for a job. So start your conversation indirectly, that as if you are looking for an opportunity in another company, and ask that, do you know anyone in that company? And they say, why? And then you say that there is an opening I'm looking for. I just need to connect with someone. So you indirectly communicate to that person that you are looking for a job. And that is how many times you get the offer. You don't get the offer by asking for a job, but simply by showing that you are in demand in the market and you are searching for a job.